The first 3 days of Roland Garros 2023 are complete, and by far the biggest headline of the tournament came today with Daniil Medvedev's shock 7-6, 6-7, 2-6, 6-3, 6-4 loss to 172nd ranked qualifier Thiago Seyboth Wild. By the way, I know I'm butchering Thiago's name. Please forgive me. I'm trying my best. I could give y'all my whole analysis on why Daniil lost this match, but I feel like Medvedev explains his loss the best with this one-line quote. He says, "I tried to make him win this match, and he managed to do it." Oftentimes, Daniil is just far too passive, and in this match, he just hoped for Seyboth Wild to miss instead of forcing things himself. He honestly didn't respect Seyboth Wild enough. He probably thought, hey, this is some lower-ranked player. He's never had a big win like this. He's never even won a slam match. So even if he gets in the position of where he might win the match, he'll crumble, and I'll just wait for him to miss. But that's not what happened at all. Seyboth Wild came to play, and he came to take that match, and he did. Daniil had been far more aggressive on the dirt in his clay lit-up events, especially in Rome, where he won his maiden 1000 title on the dirt. Medvedev has talked about his disdain for clay countless times, but people thought that this year's French Open would be different and that he'd be a strong favorite to at least make the finals, first with his relatively favorable draw, and then the fact that, like I said, he won Rome and he beat some solid not clay court players, but players who play well on clay, like Stefano Tsitsipas and Holger Rune. However, in this match with Seyboth Wild, Medvedev almost looked like a pusher out there and just, like I said, just was waiting for his opponent to miss, and you cannot do that, especially in these conditions. Thiago's heavy topspin forehand was just perfect for the conditions and the clay courts of Philippe Chatrier, and that shot in particular won him that match. It pinned Daniil deep behind the baseline and forced him to scramble and defend, and that's honestly not where you want to be, scrambling and defending, hitting those flat shots that Daniil loves to hit. You can't do that on clay. Like, even Daniil himself, he said that Thiago controlled nearly every point and that the wind was an added factor. Another interesting point from Medvedev, he said that players like Thiago, Carlos Alcaraz, and Stefano Tsitsipas, who have lively wrists and hit with heavier spin on their ground strokes, will fare better at this tournament with the heavier Wilson balls used by Roland Garros. Now, balls and wind and Thiago's forehand aside, I feel like focusing on Daniil, this loss just shows us that he still has a long ways to go with clay. I didn't have him going very far at Roland Garros. I had him making the quarterfinals, which I guess is kind of far, but it's not as far as other people had him going. The main reason really is the fact that this is best of 5, and normally with a top player like Medvedev, you give him the edge because it's best of 5. But I feel like he didn't necessarily scam some of those wins, but I feel like some of those wins he got in Monte Carlo or Rome, it wouldn't have been the same if it were like best of 5, because best of 5, like, it exposes you. Like, you have to like grind hard. You have to do extra work. And I feel like if this match against Thiago was played best of 3, he would have won it. Not only because of the best of 3 factor, but also because, you know, there are opportunities where he really should have won the first set, and then, you know, he could have cruised they're on after, but that just was not the case. Also, another big point, the conditions at Roland Garros, as he mentioned, are far different from the likes of a Rome or Monte Carlo. So it's going to take him a while to get used to the court, and of course, as he complained about even before the tournament started, the heavier balls. Focusing now on Thiago, I'm very impressed by him. First, with his mental fortitude, because he fumbled that second set bad. He had 2 set points, up 6-4 in the second set tiebreaker, fumbled them with 2 points he should have won. Then those last 2 points of the set, also 2 points he should have won. And instead of really getting upset, smashing his racket, he's like laughed it off. And even though he lost that third set, you know, he continued to grind. And after Daniil won that third set, I and other people thought that it was going to be like the match was in the bag for him. But Thiago said, I'm coming to fight. I'm coming to win. And he did that. He kept grinding. Daniil thought he could coast by with playing his, you know, BC level game. But Thiago, again, in order to beat Thiago, he had to play A-B level. And he wasn't willing to do that. And that's why he was sent packing. Just when you think about it in context too, as I mentioned earlier, Thiago never even won a Grand Slam match. He had to qualify for this slam to begin with, and he never won a main draw slam match. So to come in here to play on one of the biggest stages of the sport and beat this world's #2 player in the fashion he did it against all that adversity here, I got to give you your props for that. I have to give you your props. I knew about him. I reported about him actually in one of my videos. I think it was my top players who fell off in 2021 video, but he kind of slipped my mind when making this preview because I hadn't heard about him in a while. He struggled immensely, and he was a talented junior. He won the Boys US Open title in 2019, and then he first got on my radar after he won the Chile Open in 2020, beating second seed Casper Ruud at the time. But he struggled a lot with form, injuries, and then, unfortunately, some legal issues off the court. In 2021, Brazilian police investigated Thiago after his ex-partner, Diana Lima. By the way, my apologies, Miss Lima, if I also butchered your name as well. Lima, she accused him of physical and mental abuse during their relationship. She told URL Sport that Seyboth Wild was unfaithful, controlling, and made her change basically everything about herself. Allegedly, he was slinging the N-word around too, which obviously I don't like that. This bit right here is especially disturbing. Lima describes an incident where Thiago almost broke her finger before saying the player used to push her, pull her hair, and call her out of her name with a bunch of degrading names. Y'all can read more about that at URL Sports website, but viewer discretion is advised. Seyboth Wild denied all of those allegations at the time, calling them false, fabricated, and vengeful. Lima reportedly has a restraining order out against Seyboth Wild and received palimony payment after their split. Tennis journalist Yannick Schneider woke some tea up and asked Seyboth Wild about these allegations in his post-match press conference after beating Medvedev, but the Brazilian kind of shut that down and said that he shouldn't be asked that question in the press.
Which I need to confront you. According to the media UOL Sporter stating your ex-wife, you have been charged in June 2022 by the Public Ministry of Rio for domestic and psychological violence against your ex-wife. Since then, nothing happened in terms of sentence. What do you expect to happen?
I don't think it's a subject that we should talk about it right here. I don't think it's a question you should be making to anybody. I don't think it comes to you to decide whether it's a place to be spoken of or not.
According to the Guardian's Tumani Carroll, someone from Seyboth Wild's team approached Yannick, apparently his agent, and that agent tried to take a picture of Yannick's credentials. So very unhinged behavior there. A lot of people have been debating about whether, this press conference was a good setting to bring up such serious allegations, but I commend Yannick for bringing it up because I think people should know that a player that they might be supporting is accused of doing something, even if they are, I guess, quote unquote, mere allegations. These are very serious. And I feel like as a fan, I know you want people talk about separating sports from politics, but this isn't politics. This is a matter of he's accused of beating his ex-girlfriend and being racist. That's not politics. You're a sick human being. If those allegations are true, I'm not trying to get sued, by the way. I want to know what y'all think in the comments. Do you agree with Thiago that he shouldn't be asked about these allegations after the match like that, or is it fair game? Now, the joint feel-good stories of the tournament come with two veteran Frenchmen in Luca Pouille and Gael Monfils. Pouille is ranked 675th, and he came through qualifiers before winning his opening round match in straight sets yesterday. Luca is actually the lowest ranked player to win a first round match at Roland Garros in 10 years. Pouille is a former top 10 player, very talented. He made the Australian Open semifinals in 2019. The Frenchman, though, he suffered through numerous injuries and he even dealt with serious depression, but he remained resilient and is into the second round where he now gets 14th seed Brit Cam Norrie. And probably one of the standout moments of the tournament, Luca was serenaded by all of court 14 after that opening round win, as they sang him the French national anthem. So, nice moment with y'all. Yay. Anyways, Gael Monfils also did his big one as he came back from love for 30-40 down in the fifth set to take down Argentine Sebastian Baez in a match that finished at 12:18 a.m. These were just absolutely crazy scenes. Gael was dealing with an opponent playing incredible tennis, and Baez, he was dealing with cramps, with huffing and puffing, those physical issues, but he was fueled by that energetic Philippe Chatrier crowd. They pushed him to the end, and they did their big one too. If it weren't for them, Gael probably wouldn't have won that match. But I got to give him his credit too for how he fought through everything, and was able to get it done at the end. This was Monfils' first slam match, and first slam win since the Australian Open 2022 championships, where he reached the quarterfinals, and it's actually his first win since he became a father, with Elina's Anhelina giving birth to their child last year, to their daughter. Gail had dealt with a lot of physical issues since that Melbourne 2022 run to the quarters, but hopefully he'll continue another run here, and he'll next face another Argentinian, Guido Pella, in round 2. Focusing on the other action, there weren't really any other major shocks aside from Medvedev. 10th seed Felix Auger-Aliassime did lose in the opening round to Fabio Fognini in straight sets, but it was kind of expected as the Canadian was dealing with shoulder and knee issues coming into the tournament, and he also apparently dealt with stomach problems during the match. Meanwhile, top title contenders Novak Djokovic and Carlitos Alcaraz looked strong in their matches. They dominated the first 2 sets respectively, and then were both tested in their third sets, but still came out in straight sets. Casper Ruud and Jannik Sinner also cruised by with easy wins. Then Holger Rune, Andrei Rublev, Karen Khachanov, and Hubie Hurkacz all had to struggle before prevailing and advancing to round 2. Speaking of struggle, I want to shout out Miomir Kecmanovic, not for a good reason though. The Serbian-led Italian qualifier Andrea Vavasori 2 sets to love and had 5 match points in the third set but could not convert. Miomir then served for the match 5-4 in the fourth set and had another match point, but once again let that one go before falling 7-6, 7-6, 7-6 in the third, fourth, and fifth sets. And then to add more insult to the injury, that match lasted 5 hours and 10 minutes. Quadruple homicide. Anyways, now focusing on the women's side, we had some upsets. The K's bit the dust bad, with Kvitova, Krejcikova, Kudermetova, and Kalinina all losing in round 1. Krejcikova's loss was the only one that truly shocked me, as Petra had some physical issues coming into this tournament, and then Kudermetova just does not know how to act in a Grand Slam. She rarely plays well at a Slam. And then Anhelina, she's still, even though she made the Rome finals, she also doesn't really perform her best in majors too. Barbora Krejcikova's departure means 2 main things for Iga Swiatek. Iga's going to be happy with this loss because first, Krejcikova was Iga's projected 4th round opponent, and Barbora, even though she wasn't playing her best tennis coming into Roland Garros, she had beaten Iga twice in their last 2 meetings. So people were looking at that one as potentially an upset, especially since Iga is currently not playing her best tennis at the moment, and she's also dealing with that thigh issue. But Krejcikova, she won't be an issue for Iga now. Also, Iga she won't have to face a single-seeded player until the quarterfinals at least, as Victoria Azarenka and Maria Boskova also bit the dust. Shout out to Bibi Andreescu, by the way, for that win, because she was down 6-2, 3-1, 2 break points to Vika in that match. Just broke, nasty, playing terrible tennis, and then she came back and flipped that switch. And just played tremendous tennis. Vika played well too. She maintained her level, but Bianca was just far too good at the end. And that match, it turned out to be a really good one. It's one of the best matches of the tournament, I feel, and it will be in the end. And it's a shame that these two had to meet so early. It could honestly be a cute fourth round or quarterfinals matchup, but BB is unranked, but hopefully she'll do a little something here in this tournament, at least make the 4th round and get that ranking up, because this was ridiculous that they had to meet this early. Now, like Iga did in her match against Kristina Buxa, Coco Gauff had a slow start in her opener against Rebecca Masarova as she dropped the opening set before cruising to victory in 3. Right now, Coco's 2 biggest threats to making the quarterfinals are 20th seed Madison Keys and 16-year-old Russian phenom Mira Andreeva, who picked up her first Slam main draw win over Ali Risk, winning 2-1. Mira's going to be a star. Just watch and see. Not only is she talented, but she's very charismatic. And she actually talked about Coco with Tennis Channel today. She said that Coco has is like the most beautiful face on the grounds of Roland Garros. And she also talked about practicing with Coco. She practiced with Coco here in Paris before the tournament started and said that Coco hit so big and that Coco's very nice. So it would be great if those two played. It would be great for the sport to have 2 young stars going at it, and fingers crossed that it happens, because I feel like I'm going to preview that one. That's going to be a match to watch. Anyways, for the most part, everyone's sections, all the top 2 sections are intact, but Maria Sakkari's looks a bit busted, I'm not going to lie, as both she and Belinda Bencic lost in round 1. Now, I honestly expected this section in particular, to be, like I said, busted, because Sakkari drew Karolina Muchova, who actually beat her here in Roland Garros last year in the 2nd round. And then Belinda, she was dealing with some hip issues coming into Roland Garros, which forced her to withdraw from Madrid and Rome. Still losing to a lucky loser is a little crazy, I'm not going to lie, but I'll give her a pass because of the hip injury. This draw, it looks a little bad at first, as Bagu's the only seed and she's ranked like 27th, but walk with me here. It's actually not that bad. Mukova and Towson are extremely talented players who would be further along if it weren't for injuries. Bagu and Podolska are two solid clay court players, and Irani and Fernandez are slam finalists. So we have some good players here. I saw a tweet with someone saying that this section is carnage, but really, if you want to talk about carnage, look at Daniil Medvedev's section. That looks bad. Even though that Borna Coric and Di Minor are still alive, there's plenty of opportunity in that section. So, yeah. Lastly, I want to wrap my recap up by giving some shout outs to Sloane Stephens and Alina Svitolina for their edgy wins over Karolina Pliskova and Martina Trevisan, respectively. Sloane beat Pliskova 6-love, 6-4, and it's her second win over Karolina in like 2-3 years at Roland Garros, as she beat the Czech in 2021 at the second round, I believe. So not a shock that Sloane won that match. She was coming into this tournament with some great form. She made the Rabat semifinals, and she won a 125 event. So Sloane, if it's one thing about Sloane, she knows how to bring her level or raise her game at two places in particular: Mexico and Roland Garros, because she made the quarterfinals here in Roland Garros last year too. So I expect good things for Sloane. I mean, her draw, it looks decent, and she would possibly play Sabalenka in the fourth round, but I'm just hoping she at least makes the second week. I feel like she can do it. Now, focusing on Svitolina, I've been very, very impressed with Alina because she only came back to tour this clay court swing. She came back, her first tournament back since giving birth was at the Charleston Open 2 months ago. And I commend her for dialing it back and playing those low level tournaments to give herself the confidence to take on these big players like a Trevisan, although Trevisan isn't really a big player, but I digress. To give her the confidence to get these good wins, as she won a 250 tournament last week in Strasbourg playing some excellent tennis. And I feel like it's crazy. She's playing probably some of her best tennis of her career. And that win over Trevisan is very, very good. As Martina, she's a very good clay court player herself. She made the Roland Garros semifinals last year. So I got to give Alina her roses. Got to give it be her roses. So great win. I'm proud of you, Alina. Keep it going. I think Svitolina, like Sloane, has a good opportunity to win a few more matches, as she is drawn to play Caroline Garcia in the third round, although Garcia looks like she wants to play tennis again in this tournament. But I still think that's a winnable match for Svitolina should she play Garcia in that third round. Now, looking at this top second round matches to watch on the women's side, first looking at the day 4 matches, we have third seed Jessica Pegula, who takes on Camila Giorgi. Pegula took out a big hitting player in Danielle Collins in round 1, although Collins is not hitting with the same conviction that she normally hits with, and I blame that godforsaken Technofiber racket. Danielle, if you're watching this, please switch back to Babolat. That Technofiber racket is doing you no good. Anyways, I think this could be a very interesting match, as Giorgi, she nearly beat Pegula the last time they played, I believe, in Toronto last year, if I'm not mistaken, and she beat her the year prior in Montreal, so I feel like she definitely has the game to do so. It's just a matter of if she has the consistency to do it. Pegula, even though she beat Danielle pretty convincingly, she was not playing that great, so it's definitely doable for Camila. Then we have former champ Yelena Ostapenko, who takes on American Peyton Stearns. Stearns is a college player who played at the University of Texas, and I've been very impressed with what I've seen from her. She's been slowly rising up the ranks, and she played well in Rabat last week, where she made the quarterfinals, nearly beating Sloane Stephens. And I think she can definitely beat Yelena, especially since Yelena is more vulnerable in these early rounds of the slams. Then we have Daria Kasatkina taking on former finalist Marketa Vondrousova. This is definitely a winnable match for Vondrousova. I actually had Vondrousova taking out Kasatkina in my preview. Kasatkina can win this match too, but I feel like Vondrousova has more weapons to get the job done here, and I feel like she will get it done. And then there's one unseeded matchup between Leylah Fernandez and Clara Tauson. Fernandez picked up a very solid win in the first round over 21st seed Magna Linette. And then Clara Tauson came through qualifiers to make this second round, and she dominated Sasnovich, only losing 2 games. So that would be a very, very good match, I guarantee you. And then we have a battle of the Russians between 15th seed Lyudmila Samsonova and Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova. Pavlyuchenkova is playing her first Roland Garros since she made the finals here in 2021. So great to see her back in action. Then the only day 5 match that I care for watching. Honestly, the only day 5 match I think would be like mouth-watering. It's between 4th seed Elena Rybakina and Lena Noskova. If you don't know, Lena Noskova is a very talented Czech player who made the Adelaide finals earlier in the season, beating Onströmer in the process. She hasn't really made a lot of noise since that earlier part of the season, but she's still very talented, very skilled. And if Rybakina is not on her game, that could definitely be a tough one for the Kazakhstanian. Now transitioning over to the men's side, top seed Carlos Alcaraz will take on Tower Daniel in the second round. Then Cam Norrie, as I mentioned earlier, will take on Luca Pouille. Alejandro Davidovich-Fokina will take on young, talented Frenchman Luca Van Asch. Davidovich-Fokina actually took on Arthur Fils in round 1. So I kind of feel for him a little bit. He's had to take on 2 young, talented Frenchmen in a row. So it's not the fact that he's playing these players, but it's the fact that he's playing them at Roland Garros, where the crowd will be fully against him. So best of luck to you for that, Alejandro. All power to you. Then there's Stanislas Wawrinka taking on Thanasi Kokkinakis, as Nick Kyrgios pointed out with the whole Thanasi bang your girlfriend bit with Donna Vekic. That has some history behind that one. But aside from that, both players are, even though they're unseeded, they are both playing some great tennis, and that's guaranteed to be a great battle. And then lastly, another unseeded matchup, for day 4 will be between Lorenzo Sonego, who knocked out 30th seed Ben Shelton in round 1. He takes on Hugo Humbert, who is a Frenchman and played very well in his opening round victory too, where he took out Adrian Manarino. Now, looking forward to day 5, Holger Rune will take on Gael Monfils, which will be, I guarantee you, how much you want to bet, y'all? Holger Rune will be booed in this match against Gael Monfils. I bet you that. I will bet all my life savings that will happen. I guarantee you. Anyways, we have an upset alert, I feel, with Tommy Paul, American Tommy Paul. He did get a good win over Dominic Stricker in his opening round match, but he faces Geneva champion Nicolas Jarry, who also won a title, I believe, in Chile earlier this season. Jarry is my pick to make the quarterfinals, taking out Rude, but we'll get into that later. Yannick Sinner takes on Daniel Altmaier, who, as the lucky loser, made the Madrid quarterfinals, so that'll be an interesting one there. Altmaier beat Berrettini, another Italian, back in the 2020 Roland Garros Championship, so he has the game to knock out the top players too. Then Alexander Zverev will take on Slovakian Alex Molcan. I think that can be an upset alert. Molcan is very, very talented, very skilled, so Zverev needs to watch out for that. Francis Tiafoe takes on Madrid semifinalist and qualifier Aslan Karatsev. Alex de Minaur takes on Thomas Echeverry, who is a very talented Argentine player who actually advanced past Jack Draper, who retired after succumbing to another injury. That guy's just injury prone. There's something about these young Brits with him and Emma Raducanu, but I digress. Anyways, that's all I have for this first round Roland Garros recap, and let me know how y'all feel about the first 3 days of action in the comments. And make sure y'all subscribe and click the notification bell so you're notified whenever I post my round by round recaps for Roland Garros. Thanks for watching. I'm Christian Bass Knight, and I'll see y'all next time here on Grand Slam Tennis News Today.